Hi, folks. Almost done with the Swedenborg book. Um, and then I want to get some ideas from you, from all my subscribers, what you'd like to see me do. Um, More music. I have a new electric guitar, Wildcat Epiphone. It's really nice guitar. I'm still learning how to use it. Um, and so, do you want to see me reading more of other books from Swedenborg, other authors, what, or what kind? Give me some ideas of what you'd like what you'd like to see me do. Um, Keep it clean. uh, but you know what I mean? So, any suggestions from you, that would be really greatly appreciated. Okay. By me. Anyway, okay. So I look forward to hearing from you, all my subscribers out there. Um, and of course, I will do updates like I used to do before. What my opinions are. Not that they really matter, but um, giving you sort of from a believer in the Lord point of view on what's going on. Basically, I think that the Lord just wants us to be loving towards each other as He's told us, and um, in all that entails, and that's not no small task. Um, and you know, comments politically and everything, what's going on. Um, there's plenty of channels that talk about that kind of thing. So I'm more into the spiritual. I'm happiest when I'm talking about God and different things that might be going on, near-death experiences, um, things that have actually happened to people, what people have really seen, with and that sort of thing. So anyway, we finished on page 220, but I'm just going to go up a little bit just to kind of get us in, because I don't know where it cut off. Sometimes I start reading, and then before I know it, I'm past my 15-minute mark, and sometimes that happens, so I apologize. But anyway, let's see here if I could just move this a little bit. Okay, so we're talking about doing things for others without expecting any reward in the thing that we're doing. That's loving, okay? That's you know uh, you want to make the person happy, okay? Um, and to lift them up without expecting anything in return. So it's completely different for people who focus on getting a reward as a primary goal for what they do. They, like those who strike up friendships to get money, they give gifts, do favors, profess their love as if it was heartfelt, but when they do not get what they were hoping for, they turn their backs, drop the friendship, and join up with others' enemies and detractors. And I have found that true in my life too. It's very hurtful. Um, lately, just lately, that's happened. And I was like, wow, what an eye opener. And they are like wet nurses who breastfeed babies only for the money. While the parents are looking, they kiss the baby and stroke them, but as soon as they are unsatisfied with the quality of food they're given or do not get paid whatever they're asked, they reject the babies and treat them roughly, beat them, and laugh at their crying. You ever see, webcams of supposedly babysitters taking care of babies, and they're little nuts, you know. That just irks me to no end. You know what I mean? Yeah. They are like people who focus on the country because they love themselves and the world. They say that they intend the country's well-being and are devoted their lives to it. But if they don't receive promotions and wealth as rewards, they badmouth the country and become allies with its enemies. They are like shepherds who take care of sheep only because of the money. If they do get their money on time, they take their staffs and drive sheep into the pasture, into the wilderness. Priests who perform their duties only for the stipend involved are like those shepherds. Clearly, they do not care at all about salvation of the souls that are under their care and guidance. I mean, that goes back to the Pharisees and Sadducees of the Bible. You know, those guys lived lavishly, okay? They were comfortable, all right? They were the wealthy, you know? And everybody else had to follow all of these rules and rules upon rules and laws that they put down, even in Jesus' day, okay? So, yeah, and it's the same thing. It is the same with government officials who focus only on the status and income of their job. When they do something good, it's not for the public good, okay? But for the pleasure they take in loving themselves and the world which they inhale as the only form of good, okay? The same sort of attitudes are possible in any line of work. The goal or purpose is the determining factor throughout. If the means employed in a given pursuit fail to achieve the goal, they are abandoned. People who are looking for reward of salvation that they feel they deserve behave similarly. After death, they demand heaven and tremendous confidence. Once it is discovered that they have no love for God or their neighbor, they are sent to teachers who instruct them about faith and goodwill. If they reject what they are taught, they are exiled to be with people like themselves, some of whom are enraged at God because they have not been given their rewards. They call faith a figment of the imagination. Faith is like flying a kite without wind. Ponder that for a little bit. Okay. These are the people who are meant in the word by hired workers, who are given extremely menial jobs in the entrance to the temple. From a distance in the spiritual world, these people look as if they are splitting logs. It's extremely important to realize that goodwill is closely linked to faith in the Lord. Quality of faith determines the quality of the goodwill. For the point that the Lord, goodwill, and faith from a unity in the same way of life, our will, our intellect from a unity that if we separate them, each one crumbles like a pearl that's crushed to powder. See number 362 and following above. Also see the point that goodwill and faith come together in good actions. 373 and 377. From these teachings, it follows that the quality of our faith determines the quality of goodwill. Quality of faith and goodwill combined determines the quality of our action. So again, he's always putting two words together, faith and goodwill. Now, if we believe that everything good that we do, as if we are doing it in our own actuality, comes from the Lord, then we are the instrument cause of that good, and the Lord is its principal cause. These two causes seem to us to be one thing, but in fact, the principal cause affect every aspect of the instrumental cause. If it follows that if we believe that everything truly good comes from the Lord, we do not take credit for what we do. The more developed this faith becomes in us, the more the Lord takes away our fantasies about getting credit for what we've done. In this state, we practice goodwill abundantly without fear of taking credit. Eventually, we sense a spiritual pleasure in goodwill. Then we will become adverse to taking credit because doing so is damaging to our life. It is easy for the Lord to erase people's ideas that they deserve credit, provided those people attain goodwill primarily through working justly and faithfully in the position, business, or line of work that they're in, and with the people with whom they interact. If, however, people believe that they attain goodwill through making charitable donations and helping the needy, it's difficult to rid them of the idea that they deserve credit, because as they make those contributions, their desire for reward and credit, although obvious to them at first, becomes less noticeable to them as time goes by. Okay? So, a life of goodwill is a moral life that is also spiritual. We all learn from our parents and teachers to live a moral life, that is, to behave like civil human beings. We learn to discharge the duties of the honorable life, which are related to the various virtues that constitute the essence of being honorable. We also learn to discharge these dutiful acts through the outward forms called manners. As we advance in age, we learn to add exercise of rationality, and we use that rationality to enhance the morality of our life. The moral life in youth up to early adulthood is earthly, and that it becomes increasingly rational. People who reflect on the question can see that a moral life is the same thing as a life of goodwill, which is behaving well to our neighbor and regulating our life to keep it from being contaminated with evils, as follows from the points made above. Nevertheless, in the first phase of our lives, our moral life is a life of goodwill on the outermost level, that is, only in the outward, most superficial part of our life, but not deeper within it. There are 4 phases to our lives. We pass through them as we go from infancy to old age. The first phase is when our behavior follows other people's instructions. The second is when our behavior is our own. Our intellect restrains us. The third is when our will pushes our intellect and our intellect restrains our will. The fourth is when our behavior is deliberate and purposeful. These phases of our lives are phases of life of our spirit. However, they do not necessarily relate to our body. Our body can behave morally and speak rationally, yet our spirit can intend and think things that are the opposite of morality and rationality. It is clear from pretenders, flatterers, liars, hypocrites that this is the nature of our early self. Clearly, people like this have a dual mind. Their mind can be divided into 2 parts that do not agree. It's different for people who have benevolent intentions and think rational thoughts. As a result, do things and speak rationally. These are the type of people meant by the simple in spirit in the word. They are called simple because they are not dual. These statements clarify the proper meaning of the outer self and the inner self. They show that we cannot conclude from other people's morality in their outer self that they have morality in their inner self. The inner self could be turned into the opposite direction. It could be hiding the way a turtle hides its head in its shell, or the way a snake hides its head in its coils. In that case, their supposedly moral self is like a robber who spends time both in city and woods. In the city, the robber behaves like a moral person, but in the woods, like a thief. Completely different for people who are inwardly moral, whose spirit is moral, and who obtain the nature by being regenerated by the Lord. Such people constitute the type meant by the phrase spiritually moral. And I'm going to stop there. Okay, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and if you're able to catch my video, again, leave me a comment of what you would like to see in the future from me, or just say hello. Okay, love to hear from you. Bye-bye.